you trader babes and trader boys. My name is Erica. Welcome to a brand new episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. We're on Twitter, Instagram at Trader Babes, all of it. Don't forget to do it. And thank you for joining us today. I am with Arya as always. And how are you today, Arya? How is your trading week going so far?
Good. I'm doing good. It's always good to see you, my beautiful Erica.
And what do you think is going on? We saw quite a bit of action yesterday and today. I know last week we saw quite a bit of action in SPY, and now things are kind of starting to fluctuate. And where do they want to go? Tell us, Arya.
Yeah, we are seeing a weak market right now. A lot of people are calling it the top of the bear market that we're waiting for, but there's no indications of that just yet. I'm watching the 50 moving average, and if we end up closing below that, and the fact that a lot of people are talking about it, that's another sort of
makes you think it's not going to happen.
Probably not, but
yeah, I've seen articles after articles lately, like September is going to be bumpy. Make sure you have a lot of cash. And it's just, you definitely don't want to buy into any speculation, that's for sure, but it's certainly off to a bumpy start so far. And there's a lot of world events going on that could potentially affect it. We saw all the happenings in Afghanistan, and that's something that I actually was sharing on my Twitter because of what a big impact it has on women's rights. And it just reminds us how lucky we are to be able to have this platform, to be able to be seen equally and be able to talk as equals with the guys. So there's a lot of world events going on that could affect things. And I mean, I'm even a firm believer, as the chart tells us, before the news does, but still it's shaky.
Yeah, they could create good buy opportunities, but we'll just have to wait till the dust settles. Like for people who are going full position, it's probably not a good idea on either side because there's just so much volatility. So of course trade, but like until you see some setup of either direction, probably not full size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's good advice. Definitely, when it's shaky, better to be safe than sorry. And scaling in is a really good way of protecting your full size. And a lot of times, especially in times of market instability, and we know with retail, small caps are so popular, the cheaper stocks. And our guest today is TK from Sapphire, and he's going to be talking with us about his own swing trading and day trading strategies. And we'll be asking him some tough questions too. You ready?
Yes, I can't wait.
All right, let's bring him in. Thank you so much for coming on with us today. We're really excited to speak with you. And I guess let's start right off the bat with, what is your preferred trading strategy? You trade small caps, right? Mainly?
Yeah, so I mainly trade small caps. I like to focus more on the shorter floats as well. Short floats, like the high percentage of them too, which has been the theme lately. And just focusing more so on like price action as well. I kind of noticed more so in the last couple of months in my day trading strategies that I was really trying to focus more on price action, and it has helped me out a lot more recently because I had so many different indicators on my screen at once, and it was really affecting my trading, and I wasn't really looking at the bigger picture of a trade. Mm-hmm. Once I started to take out those specific indicators that were kind of hindering my trading, I started to trade a lot better, specifically day trading, like I said. So the main thing that I use now when I do day trade is I only focus really on VWAP, and I focus on volume and like kind of what I'm gathering from the volume.
Okay. And I don't know, can you see my screen share right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I have CEI pulled up. What time frame would you like me to focus in on?
I focus on the 1 minute mostly.
Okay. And do you draw out your patterns on other time frames as well? Or when you're day trading, do you really just focus on that particular one?
On day trading, I really focus on the 1 minute and 5 minute specifically. When I'm swinging, I look at the 4 hour 180 day, and I look at the daily. But for day trading, I usually just look at the 1 minute, sometimes the 5 minute to get a little bit more of like a general view of the day when it's later in the day. But I mainly am on the 1 minute time frame.
Okay. And why is this your preferred trading strategy? Like, why do you prefer to really use VWAP and look at volume? Can you walk us through what you see?
Yeah, so today was a good example. I wanted to use this one specifically today is because, this is the most recent one that, my trading style worked out. So obviously beginning of the day here, I'll start out by saying I got an entry on CEI yesterday around 140, average down at about 130. And I knew yesterday was going to be a nice consolidation day before the next move, which, obviously today was that day. We got the big pop in the morning with the volume all the way up to about 150, which was at about 10:30. About 10:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then we came back down here and we kind of cooled off. And you can see we cooled off to that level where the VWAP is.
Mm-hmm.
And
so it's kind of acting as support.
Yep. So we consolidated at that level for, I don't know, about 2 hours there. You can see just shares consolidating before we had the next move higher, where we break 150. And then since that break at 150, however long ago it was, we just been grinding higher the rest of the day. So I personally got out this morning on that rip at around 10:30. I got out at 154 because my strategy the last few weeks has been, take that 10%, 15% profit where it is. It was overnight for me. And I'm never going to be mad if I'm taking that profit, no matter how high the stock goes, whether it's that day or that week. So I got out and I kind of have just been watching this one today and kind of seeing where it went. But if I were to play it again today, looking back, those entries that I would have got back in would be at that VWAP level around like 11:15, 11:45, where we see that consolidation and then that next move higher on the break.
So what kind of indicators or what do you use to tell you that this VWAP is going to continue holding as support and not going to get broken through by shorts?
So me personally, on my TOS, I have a volume indicator. It's a very specific one. It's called the RCB indicator, where a lot of volume indicators on like Webull TOS, like the general basic one, it will show you corresponding volume to the candle that it happened. So for example, if the candle was red on that 1 minute time frame, the volume candle will also show up red. But for the RCB enhanced indicator, you could have a red candle, but it could end up green on the volume candle because it's showing that there's more buyers in that 1 minute time frame. So, for example, if you can see that when it came down to VWAP that one time, you can see the volume was kind of increased there. It kind of broke out a little bit. That was mostly buyers coming in. So that would tell me that there's buyers willing to add on that support level and hold that for consolidation and then wait for that move higher. So that's where I definitely would have been in again if I wanted to play it. But I was playing safe today. I knew the small cap indicator was looking kind of shaky and everything was kind of shaky today. So I kind of try to minimize my trades today, but that would have been like that key A+ area where I would have entered again.
And this is for an overnight day trade. Well, I guess it would qualify as a swing trade for overnights. What were you looking for that told you it was a good overnight play?
So like I said yesterday, I mean, it really helps when there are a lot of eyes and a lot of buyers coming into this play over time. But yesterday was a clear sign of it just needed to cool off after the big run that it's had in the last week. And I knew yesterday would just consolidate. It would even dip a lot. So that's why I was willing to add dips. It even came down to, I believe, like 120 at one point yesterday. But my lowest entry, I think, was like 130, 131, where I averaged down a little bit. But I knew inevitably that it was just a cool off for a bigger rip that was waiting to happen. Luckily today was that day I didn't have to hold longer than 24 hours. So it worked out for me. Like I said, I wasn't looking for anything crazy on a move today. We did so happen to get it, but I just wanted to get my quick 10, 15% overnight, guessing that it would happen overnight. And we got that good move today, like I said. So
how long have you been trading for?
So I have been trading, like dedicated to trading, I want to say for almost a year now. I got into trading last summer, I want to say probably like June, July. And that was when I first got like my first brokerage. I didn't know a whole lot about trading. I knew like the basics of it, but that's when I would like start trading. It's kind of funny because like I started out with a small investment of my own money and I would day trade Tesla. And that was before I even knew what day trading was, but I was just kind of day trading Tesla, just kind of getting lucky on trades. And that's when I really started to fall in love with it. And then by around this time last year, I said, you know what, like, I really love this. I really want to get dedicated into this. And ever since then, there was like a 4 or 5 month span where I was just putting in 60 to 70 hours a week, just watching videos, gaining experience, watching people like Rocky Catch and Bob, or learning what Ultra was saying, people like that who could just really enhance my education on trading. And ever since then, it's just, the rest is history. I've just been doing this for at least 40 hours a week, just learning whatever I can learn and just gaining a knowledge of trading.
Yeah, RCB is awesome. I actually spoke with him, and he's going to come on an episode soon, but he's just been so busy with his live stream and everything. But you're right, he's really good at teaching, because it helps to see what the person is doing live in the moment.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely is. He's been killing it. He's been doing a great job, and he's definitely one of those day traders that I look up to, and who I think are definitely top tier up there in terms of day trading.
You excelled pretty quickly within this 1 year, because some of these things that you're mentioning, for instance, like sensing that tomorrow is going to be a consolidation day, it comes with experience, but also, hard work and discipline, because somebody else that was in that trade may have thought, okay, this thing is dead, but you displayed patience, and also because of the time and experience and the knowledge, you start to sense some of these things and expect them to happen, so you're not too thrown off one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. That's like the experience part of it. It's just going back and just looking at the history of stocks and seeing how they react, after running a couple of days and then having that day or two of cool off. And just like I said, putting in those hours of just recognizing like that's what will most likely happen this next day, trusting the process, trusting your work, and trusting the education, and then having it pay off is just that. It's everything.
And I have here, because I know we wanted to talk about swing trading a little bit. I didn't know if you wanted me to pull up a different stock, or you wanted to stay on CEI to talk about the different indicators you use with that.
So personally, I am not personally swinging CEI. I still think it does have a lot of potential. There's a lot of good due diligence behind it with all the new deals that they're getting. I know they just had a deal with Vikings. So I'm personally swinging right now only a couple things, because the market to me is still a little shaky. I'm swinging ENG, which is ENG Global. It's a solar stock. I'm swinging it for a couple reasons. One, because the range on this is huge. This is known to move very, very fast, like 50, 60% in one day. SIPA Theta OEG, which is another good solar stock. But I think when the sectors start to get back in play here in the next couple of months, because usually fall time is when the sector play starts to get into effect, and you see like the solar plays run, the oils run, the electric vehicles. I think this one has potential to make that push towards like $8, $9, $10 a share again. The company's great. They just had a new lease recently on building their new power plant, which should be completed by the end of this year and up and running. They have funding from the government, which is good. They get funding from the government every year. So I think this is like a silent sleeper in my opinion. And like I said, it's solar energy. This is something that's going to grow in revenue every single year. I know Biden just made an announcement a couple of days ago about saying he wants to see like the clean energy and solar exponentially increase over the next 5 years. So that was good news. So this could definitely be a long-term investment in my opinion, but I want to just swing this over the next few months. I would like to get at least 5 or 6 on it. But I mean, we'll have to see when the time comes. But in terms of like the moving averages I use on swinging, I usually use the 50 and 200 MA. They're really good to use as like resistance and support levels. As you can see today, it's kind of threading and bouncing off that 50 MA. So once it breaks that, I think that next move is going to push that 200 MA at 228, which is at right now. But then once we break that, we break like that 230 level, I think we make that move higher. Right now, it's still kind of consolidating a little bit, still needs to make that next move, but I'll be patient on it. Like I said, once the sector season comes, I think this one's definitely gonna be a really good play.
So you're adding it before it breaks this longer term downtrend.
Yes, I've been adding everything below 2. So my original entry, I believe, was 220 a couple of weeks ago, and then I've been adding everything that dips below 2, and then as long as it keeps holding that bottom low over there, like mid-August, I think it's like 180. I think it's still fine. So that's what I'm looking for on this.
And where do you calculate where your exit point is going to be? Because I know you said you were looking to get 5 or 6. Is that just based on history, or is there a specific way that you map out your targets?
To me, it's based on just history of how hard it can run when it has the volume. And if we see that volume really pick up again in the fall time, I can definitely see 5 or 6 minimum in the works. But the main key resistance right now I see is about 4. You can kind of see where it touched there a few times over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 is that key resistance that it would need to break. And that's where I'll probably scale probably like 1/3 or a half my position and kind of hold for the rest to see if it'll break. But that is where I would like it would be 5 or 6. And I like I said, I think this stock has the potential to be a double-digit stock with the revenue that it's been having over the past year. Their new plant, like I said, coming out, that'll be fully operational by, I believe they said November. So they have a lot of news coming and a lot of PRs coming. So I'm really excited for this one.
Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at a swing trade, you're taking into account quite a bit of the fundamentals of the company. Are you looking at the float size and the institutional ownership as well?
Definitely. The flow is definitely a key thing I look at. I love playing lower floats. They move a lot faster. Institution size, yes. So what I do is when I do my deep dive into due diligence, I keep into mind, all like the side stuff, like you said, the institutional buyers, the percentage of it, and all that kind of stuff to make sure it has that support from them. So
it's not totally just a pump and dump, so if there is some fundamentals.
Those types of stocks he's doing is, you're doing your research to make sure that it's not just one of those like, almost like a shell stock is what I want to call it.
Exactly. Right. Like a stock that's not going to just throw an offering at you when it moves 20 cents.
That's a question I think a lot of small cap traders who have end up being, unsuccessful because they have followed news. And so a lot of them have the question, do I follow fundamentals at all, or do I just focus on technicals? It's good to look at those fundamentals. Just know the difference. Like if you're day trading a piece of crap, know that's what you're day trading. And if it's something with some support, like you said, there's definitely more you want to approach it with a little bit more conviction and whatnot. So a lot of people ask that question, do I read the fundamentals? Is that going to make me biased with small caps?
No, for sure. And like going off that too is, that's another great reason to always look into what you're trading, because there's been times where I've even been day trading and I've been in a stock for less than 5 minutes, and during the day they'll throw an offering, and I've been stuck in that. Mm-hmm. And like that's a great like point to bring up, is like you got to know what you're trading. You can't just kind of jump into something not knowing what it is, because at the end of the day they could hit you with an offering, and it's happened to everybody where they've been in an offering and it's like the worst feeling.
Mm-hmm. So, many times.
Yeah. So. And that's one of the biggest dangers of, trading those stocks like this. But one of the reasons they're so popular is their lower price point and the potential moves in a day. When something, and it's kind of like the same thing that gets us options addicts addicted. It's that, the big movement in a potential day or a short period of time that, draws people in, and you're able to buy more shares because obviously the stock is cheaper. So it's like one of the most popular forms of trading, probably besides cryptocurrency, I would say right now. And from that, there's so many thousands of people looking to learn and coming up and learning the hard way. Like you said, getting stuck in an offering.
Yeah, and it can be a lot of fun trading those, while trading, if you stick with the rules and discipline, they're a lot of fun. But the only thing I would say is don't marry a ticker,
ever.
All caps.
Ever. Or honestly, if there's a stock you like to trade, something that like consistently has good volume, be comfortable trading both sides of it, right? Like, I'm sure when you go into a stock, like, you're aware of the long side versus the short side, and you have to be willing to flip sides, right?
Yep, exactly. When you break that key support area, you know that you can definitely take that short position and then make the money the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the like big things we see right now with FinTwit and all the social groups and everything with trading now is, they think like shorts are the devil and they wouldn't short anything because they're, I heard someone say that it was morally reprehensible. But I think it's, it's important, even if you're not comfortable shorting shares, it's important to learn about it and know that it's nothing against you personally. And we see this like environment where if you say you're short something, everyone attacks you. Have you experienced that?
Oh, I mean, I've experienced it happen to people personally. I very rarely short. Like I've only done it a couple times personally, and whenever I do it, it's kind of like on a stock that's like not getting watched or there's no really eyes on it. But no, I do agree. Every time I see someone say that they're shorting something, like everyone just mauls on them, and it's like for no reason.
It's a stigma that's been around for a very long time, and first of all, we trade the waves. That a trader with small caps is really not an investor. And even so, there's a reason. Shorts. The more shorts you have in a stock, the bigger squeezes. If the stock is supposed to go where we intended to as a long, I mean, it's just a fuel. You want those shorts, and that's one thing. Without that, there wouldn't be any penny stock run. Without that, there wouldn't be any small cap
GME
going 100%, 200%. None of them would exist. Like nobody is crazy enough to buy whatever small cap long you have at a 40%. But because those shorts come in, usually you get that, and of course they can drive it down, but it works. They're the reasons basically you see those moves in small caps. And also for the overall market, shorts keep a price healthy, so you don't want to be in a bubble. It was implemented for a reason, actually, to be able to short so that the markets stay healthy and they're never too overextended. And because when something like that pops, then there's panic and fear, and
it's just money changing hands.
Yeah.
That's how the market works.
There's good reasons for short stay exist.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like the attacks on, like, if you have a differing opinion than the rest of the team, you get like you're shunned is just one of the things that has come up recently that impacts trading so much more than we thought, which is like that mental, social aspect. And I know, TK, you're in Sapphire, and I'm sure you're in other groups too. Like, what was your first impression of the atmosphere when you were coming into various groups? And it doesn't have to be Sapphire specifically, just any of these groups. What was your impression of what the environment was like?
So my first two groups were actually BSS and Sapphire, and I was mostly active in BSSs just because I was introduced from a friend who knew about BSS. So going into it, it was very strange to me. Like you would have those people that were always very helpful. I could DM them and ask them questions when I was starting out, and they would help me out. And then you would also have those people that were just very ignorant. So you kind of had like to find that balance. And, over time, that's when I kind of slowly moved over to Sapphire because it was more active in general, and there were a lot more people trying to help out in general. So that's why I kind of made that switch over to Sapphire. Now I only focus on a couple servers, my own and Sapphire. But I have the other ones like Atlas, BSS, Cam's Room, just because I like to get like that sentiment that everyone has into the market. But the main ones that I focus on, like I said, are my two and Sapphire because at the end of the day, a lot of that outside noise, you don't want that affecting your trading. And, there are a lot of negative people out there that will kind of, either give you the wrong information or just kind of ruin your day and make you feel like crap. So that's why I try to focus my trading on these specific two servers, the ones that I feel like I have the most impact in. So I really do think there is a problem out there with a lot of the people that are spewing like negative information and stuff like that. And
when you say negative information, do you mean about stocks specifically or about other traders and other people?
Well, both, but even just like going back to like the shorting thing, you go on Twitter and you see, like those high up people like Zach Morris and like saying stuff like, screw the shorts, all that kind of stuff. And that's what gets these new traders, that mentality that, people that short are just terrible people and they're just terrible traders, blah, 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 all that stuff. So the impact that these servers have and that FinTwit has on specifically new traders is just, it's insane. And I know it's kind of hard for some people to see that, but it's really eye-opening to me that, I have friends of mine that follow some of these really high, follower traders and say like, oh, so like what's wrong with shorting and all this kind of stuff? Because I see them talking about it all the time. And I'm like, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with it. Because at the end of the day, small caps have to recycle. People have to short. That's just how it is. So I think it's more so an issue now than it was like a year ago when I started. But that's just the nature of it, in my opinion. Everyone's getting more followers and everything, and that's just going to happen.
These short sellers, they are just experienced traders. They've been in the market long, so they know they can play both sides. And I think
well, they're not even necessarily considered short sellers. They trade both sides, right? I mean, They go long and short.
The more experience these new traders will have, they'll understand that. Like, it'll take some time. You get it. You just like, it clicks. Hopefully it clicks because we talked about it. But if not, you'll know. You're just riding the waves. That's all you're doing.
And then, we also see, you talked about the negative aspect of that, like people getting false information, incorrect information, that shorts are just the devil and they know you and they hate you. And that's why they're shorting your stock. And then we see these like other traders start popping up, and you're newer, so you've probably seen a lot of them pop up, around the same time you did, and they gain massive followings very quick because they usually like get lucky on a call or something like that, and then they start spreading like false knowledge and kind of make for more of that like toxic environment. Have you experienced that yourself?
No, for sure. And I think going back to someone that Sapphire had, I know that was the issue with Rice, wasn't it? Where, everyone thought he was just like that super good trader that, was young, he was making a ton of money. But when all like the legality stuff came out, he was just lying about it the whole time. And he, really had a lot of the members in Sapphire and on his Twitter, like believed that he was like that really good guy that was just trying to help out. But that's what kind of worries me, is because like you never know who out there is like that and who is just kind of searching for that following just to really help out their calls and give them money and stuff like that. So that's what's really worrisome to me. And I'm always on the lookout for is I try to keep my nitpick friends close, the ones I trust the most, because like I said, you just never know who is out there doing it for themselves and who's out there really trying to help out the community.
And is there anything specific that you've seen that's kind of like a red flag when like to watch out for? Because you're right, that's a good example of, it's easy to get people to think that you know what you're talking about. So are there any, like, I guess looking back at that, were there any specific red flags that kind of pop out in your mind that you've seen from any of these cases?
I would say personally, just not really explaining in depth what they're doing and why they're doing it. Just kind of saying like, hey, I'm adding this play, 100,000 shares, blah, blah, blah. And then people will be saying like, oh, like what's the reasoning behind it? Blah, all that kind of stuff. And there's no reasoning behind it. It's just them saying they're adding shares. And then you'll see that play end up not doing well, end up, dropping an offering, whatever it is. And then you won't hear from that person again. So to me, that's like a major red flag. Is just, like the lack of transparency between traders and the people that get looked up to. I see that a lot on Twitter, where there's just no transparency between them. They're just kind of saying they're adding a play, and I personally don't like that. Like I feel like there needs to be a reasoning why you're entering a play, and you have it it's a duty to let your followers know why you're entering a play, or like what you see from it, the potential you see from it. And if you're not doing that, that's like the biggest red flag to me personally.
Interesting. We touched upon this a little bit last episode, but one red flag for me is where is that person telling you to still hold your trade? So sure, you can have a good entry, sure, you have a reason, but are they insisting upon weakness, hold on?
Oh, you mean like claim they're holding even when it drops a bunch?
Right, like when they're trying to dump it, basically, and they're telling you rest assured everything's good, so they can keep dumping on you. Whether it's a group or one person operating this, but yeah, those are the entry, the holding, and the exits are usually they'll have a pattern of not working out. Even if their entry is good, like don't blame yourself because your entry was good. If they're continuously pumping it, they're, and you're listening to them because their entry was good. So you just gotta really wrap your head around all of it, the whole picture.
That's been a huge issue, in my opinion, in the last few months, is just the onslaught of pumping a stock that doesn't want to go, has no reason to go. And then everyone gets trapped in it. They say they're still holding, but like people like us know they're not. Like they're dumping their shares slowly to get out, and everyone else is stuck in the mud and they're bag holding. And there are certain traders out there. I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but there are traders out there with big platforms that do that kind of stuff. And it really does suck to see, because that was me when I first started out trading. Is I would just add whatever this specific person would say
because they said it.
Exactly, just because
we all did
that.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think that's a huge issue, and it's going to keep happening just because as long as you have a big Twitter follower, people think you are just the best, and that's just that's the nature of it on Fin Twitter.
Yeah.
Is if you have a big following, people say you're the best, and you could literally be the worst trader, but as long as you're able to pump that specific ticker with the followers you have, it just doesn't matter. And I think that is the biggest issue right now on FinTwit.
Yeah, and having a lot of followers on Twitter is supposed to, say that you're verified, and you know what you're doing. But so, it's not so much fault of somebody falling for that, of course, because that is what we're wired to believe. Like, hey, that so-and-so has a nice car, that means they're successful, especially given the area of work we do, like, we're hoping to, make lots of money. And then that's another verification, having a lot of Twitter followers. But, that's why we're here to tell you that that's not the case. And usually it happens to be those people who are doing those pump and dumps. So just be wary, just, be open-minded.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's all we can really do, right? Is look out for it ourselves and make sure that we know what we're doing to do our, and I posted a video about this, like how to actually use trade alerts so that you're not just blindly buying in. You can utilize alerts when you're starting out, we all did. But there was that point where we come to where we start looking more at like why this was alerted, or looking at it more as, think of it just as a attention grabber. What kind of volume is that person bringing in? Like what was the point where you started learning that lesson for yourself?
I would say definitely over like last winter when everything was getting really hot, where I could really start to understand and see how easily it was for these guys just to mention a ticker and bring in volume. I mean, whether it's a good trade or not, I mean, if you see one of these guys mention a ticker, you'll see the volume, you'll see a 500,000 share candle in a minute. And, it could change the stock momentum for the day. It could change it for the week, or it could come back down. You don't know, but just the effect that it has in that short period of time is just insane. And like I said, I mean, when you have, 400,000, 500,000 followers that, as soon as they see your tweet, they're all adding the same call, that stock's just going to get inflated right away.
Yeah. So. Yeah. You can see the volume pour in, and someone that, because we've in our investigation into this, I've talked to a few different traders who will not go on record, but their motto is sell before everyone else. So literally like that alert goes out, they're selling into that candle little by little and seeing it just rise, and it's, you have to know. It's hard to know who's real and who's not. And the only thing you can do is watch out for yourself, make sure you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I know we're in the middle of the trading day, but this will help us get it out sooner. And good job on the overnight trade. And can't wait to see you in Sapphire some more.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me on. It was great.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Want more Trader Babes? Subscribe now and connect with us on social media for exclusive content and access you won't find anywhere else. And we'll see you right here on the next unforgettable episode of Trader Babes.